But I say to the opposition view, and all the obvious oppressors and all the people in denial, do you speak English? Casual English, not Ebonics, not ghetto slang, casual English. With that being said, I'll start off with Proverbs 18:9. One who is slack in his work is brother to one who destroys. All you people in the oppressor's communities, from the poor communities to the rich, who count your blessings and say, hey, I'm not an oppressor, who don't see yourself as an obvious oppressor, you too are an oppressor, and I'll explain why. This is also why God isn't answering your prayers, the devil is, and you're in denial that it's not a good thing. All right. So first of all, we have police people saying, just keep your head down, go to work, tread lightly, okay? Don't overthink things. Is that a good idea? No. Look at the state of the world, the trajectory of psychology, techniques of control, sex cult control. Look at how things work. Read between the lines. Is it a good thing that they're saying that? No. They're basically saying, do what the devil says. Keep your head down. Don't do what God says. Be slack in your work. Tread lightly and go to hell. So now let's use the Empire example in Star Wars. Okay, think of Star Wars, it's like the military-industrial complex. At the top was Palpatine at one point, Vader, the officers, and then the stormtroopers and everyone else, basically. Because stormtroopers are basically so oppressive that they kind of push around even people that made more money than they did in the civilian areas. Okay. In the civilian areas where they pay taxes to the Empire and they don't join the rebellion, they don't fight to the death, they don't preach logic and get screened out, okay, are they slack in their work? Yes. So even the most innocent seeming civilian who's not part of the rebel alliance is slack in his work. Now keep in mind, I'm not a liberal or conservative or a libertarian or in a controlled movement. Okay? I believe in universal pinpoint and moral precision. I'm not talking about the problem is they weren't a liberal. The liberals are also part of the Empire. Okay, so how stupid it is for a stormtrooper to say, hey, that's not my fault, it's Vader's. How stupid it is for the officers to say, that's not my fault, it's Vader's and Palpatine's fault. How stupid it is for Palpatine to say it's not my fault, it's the peasants' fault. How stupid it is for the peasants to say that's not my fault. Why they have a Bible in their hand, for example. That is just Palpatine and the people who are part of the Empire's army's fault. Well, you're part of their infrastructure. And your own Bible says one who is slack in his work is brother to one who destroys. You are guilty as well. Not to act is as much of an act as to act. That which you did not do for the least of my brethren, you did not do for me. When I was hungry and thirsty for righteousness' sake, you didn't join me for righteousness' sake. When I tried to restore the moral order, you didn't help me. I was hungry and thirsty for suitable helpers, and they shunned me. So let's look at the average white craftsman's argument. They say, well, why don't you get a job? They say this to the people they've sabotaged for generations. They fed inferior food when they were slaves, was the idea. They brought drugs into their community. Their water quality was poor. Recently there was an article in the news about some female who gets kicked out of school for taking a picture of the poor water quality in the bathroom. Yes, he probably wasn't supposed to take pictures or have a cell phone or some bitch shit like that, but the issue transcends those petty rules. And they refuse to accept that. It's part of what's wrong with society. The issues involved transcend your petty cultural values. Conservatives and anyone else doing it. When you say, why doesn't that guy who's the son of a crack mother, who your society brought the crack to, intending to bring down their community? That was the plan. It was a calculated plan with people from Yale, with PhDs in Harvard and Stanford, in MIT. They calculated this in their social clubs, their educated, privileged social clubs, corporations, and government groups. They calculated it to a T. They would have been shocked if it didn't happen. And then it happened, and then you said, why don't you get a job when you come from a long line of landscapers and construction workers and people like that, craftsmen, and you have a craftsman build. The job is for you, by you. And you have the nerve to say, why doesn't he have a job and I have a job? You say there's a difference between a black man and the N-word, and the black man happens to be shaped like you. In your same social clubs, Freemasons and corporate groups. You know, some of them are even from your families. You say there's a difference between those people who are shaped more like us and think more like oppressors like us, and those who don't, and some of those who don't aren't as smart as the top martial artists, so they turn to drugs and gangs with no higher cause. Pathetic. Your arguments are pathetic. You people are pathetic. It's like the KKK and the CIA and the cops with their code of silence and the government with their saboteur operations and their scandals. Okay? You know why they don't just get a job, because you and your racist buddies control the job. You control the process of being educated to make it for you, by you, and to discriminate against people who think a certain way and who learn a certain way. Okay, you're part of the deep state psychological operations, and there's countless. Look up psyop units in the military. There's countless psychological operation units in the military, and they defend things foreign and domestic. Just foreign, no, and domestic. Okay, and they impress their racist mentality on their family members, on their wives and children, etc. Okay, there's the Klan. It was basically another clandestine group. It's even the word clan and clandestine. Okay, the Scottish Rite, right? And where we get the word clan, used in the clan context, is from the Scottish people, and so on and so forth. Okay, and of course we have England, the UK, Scotland, and Ireland and England, and merged together, and so on and so forth. It's pretty straightforward what's going on here. And the guy who started the clan was an Englishman. Yeah, you weren't saying 1776 to Nathan Bedford Forrest. Why not? Because you don't have a moral standard. You have a white, racist, craftsman, geek, and privileged Prince Humperdinck bitch standard. Any questions?